Hello, Patreon subscribers.
Hello.
How we doing?
I'm good, you?
Yeah, I'm alright. I haven't seen
You
you
weren't
all
asking
day.
me anyway.
No, I wasn't asking you.
No.
What have you been doing today?
I've been recording 50p Movie Club with Will.
So exciting. What were your films that you did today? Or are you allowed to tell me?
No, not allowed to tell you that.
Oh, okay.
Top
fair
secret
enough.
information.
So this week we were looking at out-of-body experiences. So I said, you know what? Let's do some more out-of-body experience stories.
Okay.
And during the episode you asked me whether or not you could if you could swap bodies.
Yeah.
Like Friday the 13th.
Yep.
No, not Friday the 13th.
Freaky Friday.
Freaky Friday.
Friday the 13th is a very different film.
Is Friday the 13th the one where he
Yeah,
butchers everybody?
yeah.
Okay. So not like Friday the 13th at all. Freaky Friday. And it turns out you can Freaky Friday it
Okay.
with out-of-body experiences. You ready for story number 1?
No.
No?
No.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. I was in my teens, and I remember this was during my high school days. I woke up in the middle of the night and saw a little boy standing over me. I asked, "Who are you?" And he answered, "Jack." "Yeah, I know. I named my son Jack also." Why would you name your child after a fucking entity that you'd seen? That's mad. I'm going to move your mic slightly because I want to make sure that people can see you.
I was using it to hide behind.
Oh, were you?
Yeah, I was hoping that they wouldn't be able to see me.
Well, now I've moved you.
They still need to hear me as well, though.
That's true. Then he jumped into me. I felt my body walk to my parents' room and stand there in front of their bed. My mom woke up scared, asking who I was, like she didn't see me. She saw someone else. All that could come out of my mouth was the name Jack, although I kept trying to say, "Get out." Next thing I remember, I plopped down onto my bed, opened my eyes and said out loud, "Jack." My body was halfway off the bed when I woke up. I then went to wake my mum to ask if I was just in her room, and she said no. I told her what happened and she tried telling me it was just a dream. She took me back to my room. I looked at the reflection on my TV and saw a little boy standing in the hallway leaning against the wall.
Oh, creepy.
I kept telling my mom that he was there, but she didn't see him, only I could. Another event was my dad waking up to a noise, thinking it was either my sister or I playing. He said he saw a little boy throwing a ball against the wall. This was around Christmas time. I remember all the decorations being up in the house. My sister and I were home alone. We were in the living room watching TV, and then it went snowy. I'm assuming she means the TV.
Yeah, but static.
Static.
Yeah, static, yeah.
We tried every button on the remote, but nothing worked. Even buttons on the TV. Then the TV volume went up and down, and all the way up and turned off on its own. We were freaking out. We went to my room. Then the train we had in our little Christmas village turned on and started moving. We were too scared to go and see why. It went around and around a few times before turning off. Then I looked in the hallway and saw a tall, transparent man with a long coat and a hat and a suitcase. He disappeared before I shut the door. We called my grandfather that lived an hour away. He came for us right away. We didn't leave my room until he got there. A lot of bad things happened to our family while we were in that house. But those are the paranormal parts that I can remember. So what are your thoughts?
So, little Jack is a pesky little spirit.
Pesky little yeah, what an absolute dick.
And he's not a big fan of being dead, so he took advantage of matey being out of his body for a bit and went, "Wait, okay?"
If you can hear all that rustling, by the way, I'm really sorry. Bim is currently having her dinner,
Eating.
but she's being really loud. Why are you being so loud? She's going from bowl to bowl as well. Anyway, sorry, you were saying about Jack.
Yeah, fed up with being dead, so I thought he'd borrow a body for a little bit. But it sounds like he jumped into the body, but the other guy was still in it.
Yeah,
So squeezed in
just shoved into a little gap somewhere.
like that.
That's not what I meant. Well, yeah, just squeezed himself in somewhere.
Yeah, and then was able to control it. And then, yeah, don't know what's going on, but I like the idea of having a Christmas village.
Do people have that in their houses?
Well, according to that story, they do. Rocking around the Christmas tree and a happy holiday on the Home Alone. He's got a little train, hasn't he? He's got a little train in his Christmas village, yeah.
I have seen Home Alone, but I can't really remember it. The list of films that I haven't seen is starting to concern people a bit as well. So I haven't seen Ghostbusters. Apparently now, somebody put a poll up And now we have to watch Ghostbusters.
You should really watch Ghostbusters.
Yeah, I know, but I just have never seen... I don't know why I've never seen it. I've also never seen The Goonies.
You need to start another poll about Will, who's never seen Jurassic Park.
Yeah. Will has never seen Jurassic Park. Now, that's not okay. That's actually genuinely not okay. Story number 2. You ready?
Yeah. No. Never. Sometimes. Go for it.
This might be a little bit close to the bone, actually. But I'm going to read it anyway. So
I read the first line.
We'll explain another time. I was born with a congenital heart defect and flatlined after heart surgery 10 years ago. I specifically remember floating above my hospital bed and being able to hear the nurses talking to one another saying grab the paddles. It went on for what seemed like a minute.
Imagine if the nurses were actually just going to have an impromptu game of table tennis.
I was thinking more like an impromptu sex session, but then that's really dark.
Difference in our minds there.
Yeah, that was really dark. Yeah, just over his body playing table tennis. It went on for what seemed like a minute, and I felt calm the whole time, just observing while the nurses worked frantically. Then it just ended, and the next thing I knew, I woke up in my hospital bed with my dad and my girlfriend there. I talked to a nurse later and told her what I'd seen, and she sort of chuckled and said that it was actually really common among cardiac patients who flatline. I was your classic gruff atheist who didn't believe in any kind of stuff, just so you know where I'm coming from. So this was pretty hard to explain or understand. I'm still not religious, but I definitely know there's something going on in the universe that's bigger than me. I just don't know what it is.
Aliens.
But it's really interesting because, like, in I'm ignoring it, in heart surgery, they do have to stop your heart, as you're well aware. They do have to stop your heart, but also they, like, that doesn't mean your brain stops working.
No.
Do you know what I mean? So I think that in these situations that potentially the patients just hear what's going on around them, like, and then their brain projects what they think is happening.
Yeah.
I don't think it's like an out of body experience.
No. Could be.
I wonder, is it specific to heart surgery because it's such a big trauma?
No, it's probably, not specific to heart surgery. I just think it's some specific probably to trauma of any description. There's quite a lot of I nearly died stories, isn't there, when they
and in
pop
surgery
out and go, ooh, and
then pop back in again. There's also all those stories as well of people who are actually awake during surgery. That really freaks me out.
Yeah.
Who they're like the anesthetic, and it whatever doesn't work in the way that it should.
Always reminds me of Hannibal.
Oh, when he gives your man loads of poppers.
Yeah, and he's just eating. Like, he cuts a bit of his brain and then puts the cap back on.
Is that when he gives him loads of poppers, or is that a different time?
I don't know, I can't remember what one it is.
I can't remember either. Is that in... No, it's not in Silence of the Lambs.
I don't know what
it's
one
not
is.
in Red Dragon.
Must be Hannibal.
It must be Hannibal then. They do that in Scary Movie as well, don't they?
Yeah.
They do a piece take of it. I'm sorry, I'm drinking.
I'm not on board with that I was an atheist, so therefore it must be true thing.
Why?
Well, because we spoke about it on the main podcast, didn't we? Just because you hold atheist beliefs doesn't mean your mind doesn't.
You're not
actually
influenced
go to
by
something
various
else.
things. Story number...
See you later, Bims.
Bye, Bim. Story number 3. When I was 14, I had what I thought was a dream where I was in my grandmother's kitchen and she was telling my grandfather that she wasn't feeling well, and he just started crying and wouldn't stop, even as my grandmother told him it would be okay. I woke up crying and had this enormous feeling of grief, but I chalked it up to it just being a really bad dream. 2 days later, my mother got a phone call from my grandfather saying that my grandmother had had a massive heart attack in her kitchen and had died. 3 days later, my mom, dad, sister and I all went down to the Gulf Coast of Alabama where my grandparents had moved a year earlier. The kitchen looked exactly like it had in my dream, but I'd never actually been there before and I hadn't seen any pictures of it either. I didn't tell my mother about this until last year, and I'm nearly 30. She didn't seem surprised by it at all and just said, "You're always close to your grandfather. It wouldn't surprise me if you somehow went to him because he was so sad." At this point, I definitely believe I was there with him somehow in my dream when my grandmother was sick, even though the time frames don't match up all the way. It's like in my dream I went into the future and went to their house as it happened. What has made me realise is that something...
No, like, me and Will had this discussion today in 50p Movie Club. We don't give you enough credit for how well you read. It's actually super difficult.
Isn't it really hard?
Oh.
The amount of time I spend cutting out the bits that I don't get right as well.
So credit, well done.
Thank you. I'll just take a little bow. Well, it's made me realise what. Fuck's sake!
I've jinxed it now, haven't I?
What it's made me realise is that some. Gonna have a breakdown.
No, just try reading it again. It's okay.
That's probably a good alternative. What it's made me realise is something that some people might think is really cheesy, namely that we're truly connected to the people we love in a way that's completely beyond the physical. I quite like that, actually. I liked that last line.
Yeah.
What do you think? Do you think that happens? Do you think that people, when people are really connected with another human being, that they're able to like see things, or they're able to, I don't know, predict things happening to them, or?
Yeah, I think so. When we did the twins episode, there was a lot of that kind of stuff, wasn't there? Because they're so close that they're not telekinetic, but they're like there's some kind of spiritual thing between them. And who's to say that there's not? I guess if you think about spirits, if you believe in spirits, not like the scared of ghost, but actual spirits, then why not? I think it's quite a nice idea. It's quite a nice idea that you could potentially. He could have potentially felt her presence there in a time when he really needed comfort.
Yeah, and I think there's like millions and millions of stories like that where it's like, oh, I saw I knew somebody was going to die before they died and whatever. And it's like we said before, like maybe if you're with somebody all the time, you do sense changes in their body, but you're just not aware of it. But this one she's so far away. Like, she's never seen their kitchen, and yet she saw their kitchen. I remember years and years ago, like one of my cousins had really bad asthma. And when he was really little, he went through a phase, like Miley, he went through a phase of having really bad asthma that had him hospitalised, a couple of times. And my psychic aunt, before she realised that she was psychic, she said that she was, he had to sleep sitting up because if he lay down he wasn't able to breathe. And she was sitting up in the bed beside him because she used to watch him while he was sleeping to make sure he didn't choke or stop breathing or whatever. And she dozed off, and in her dream, her dad, who had died, was like, you need to wake up now. Niall needs you. You need to wake up now. And when she woke up, he had slipped into the lying down position and wasn't able to breathe. And she firmly believed that her father had saved the child's life.
Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it?
It's mad, isn't it?
Yeah. I like to think stuff like that does happen, though, because it gives you a bit of hope, doesn't it?
Yeah. I guess it does.
Yeah.
I watched the Hunger Games last week, and it was all about, and just when you say hope, it was all about like how fear can't survive if there's hope. I was like, oh,
wow,
I beg to differ.
Poetic.
Dan's fucking frightened all the time.
That is true.
Story number 4. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what's just made that noise.
Ghost.
When I was 7, I remember climbing a tree by myself in the backyard, and I either
no good comes from climbing trees.
I saw a video the other day of a woman who collected coconuts for her whole village, and she like shimmied up this fucking
some good does come
really
from
high
tree,
trees. And she's just like hugging it, and working away. Oh, it was mad! I loved it. I was like,
some good does come from climbing trees. Carry on.
When I was 7, I remember climbing a tree by myself in the backyard, and I either grabbed a branch that was too little, or my foot slipped, or both, and I fell from probably around 10. It just says 10. From around 10 feet flat to my back and hit my head on a root. The next thing I knew, I was getting up off the ground and dusting off my clothes, and could see my mother running down from the back of the house yelling for my dad. I opened my mouth to tell her I was okay and looked down to see that there was actually another me lying on the ground. These days, I probably would have been like, what the fuck? But at the time, it just made me want to cry because it was so confusing. When my mom got to me, I watched her lean over me and gently start patting my face, and then I woke up with her standing over me. I don't know if it was like a head injury induced hallucination where my mind put together pieces later or what, but it felt amazingly real. As a result, I think I grew up being a lot more open to ideas that other people might reject outright, simply because a part of me feels like there might be a whole world out there that we just can't always see.
That's quite common as well, though, isn't it? Like having experience, not like death experiences, but where you like boom, unconscious, and then your mind travels you through.
We've had a story like this on Tiny Tales before, where the person fell off a roof.
Yeah, and then
they ran home.
Yeah.
And then they realised that they weren't in their body. Yeah.
Maybe it's just the mind going through the motions of what you should do next and isn't actually able to do it, and then eventually the mind catches up with the body.
Yeah.
Or the body catches up with the mind.
Maybe. I don't know how I feel about this. I don't know how I feel about out of body experiences or near death experiences. I genuinely I'm on the fence about it. I don't know if I believe them. Like, not that I don't believe them. I believe these people have seen these things. I believe these people have had these experiences. I'm not questioning that.
But it's whether it's like a dream or reality.
But whether it's a dream or whether it's a reality that we don't understand yet, or whether it's like a paranormal thing that we don't understand yet, I don't know.
The tree one could be just like a version of deja vu, couldn't it? Where it's like, it feels like it feels like something's happened and then it hasn't. It's just your brain catching up.
Oh yeah, like your brain glitching because it's like it gets such a shock from whatever it is. Do you get deja vu? I get deja vu all of the time, like that, so much so that it sometimes makes me feel sick.
I sometimes get deja vu where I'm like, I'm sure I've done this before, and then convince myself it's deja vu, and then realise I have actually done it before, and it's not deja vu at all.
And you're like, oh, I have been in this same room before. It was last week. Now I get it all the time with conversations with people, and I sit there and I'm like, I've been here before, and it makes me feel sick.
Do you ever get it early enough to be able to change it? Because that would be really cool. Like, so if you get a sense of like deja vu where you've like been in this situation before, and you had it early enough to predict what was coming next, and then be able to change what you thought was going to happen. So like if you like were a couple steps ahead in your conversation.
Oh, so you could like control, but when I get deja vu, I don't know what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
I just get that overwhelming feeling I've been here before, and it makes me feel really sick.
Yeah. But I wonder if like there is someone out there who has...
living in the camera.
Yeah, who has the deja vu. What is going on in our kitchen?
Hang on, let me check and see, because I feel like it might actually burn down.
It's not your thing that you left on, is it?
No, I don't think it is.
I'm leaving. I'm
back.
going to move house. This is the last podcast I'll be on. See you later.
No, I don't know what it is. Well.
Some kind of deja vu. Not that.
The kitchen.
But no, someone has like a deja vu where they're just that little bit further ahead, and it would be like really interesting.
I think we need to do an episode about predictions, about people who have made predictions in history and what
Nostradamus?
Yeah, that kind of thing. But there's also things like, you know, the guy who wrote Crash of the Titan?
Nope.
About the Titanic?
Yes.
Or well, he wrote it like a couple of years before the Titanic set sail, and he predicted the whole story of the Titanic.
The real question is, are these
Leonardo
predictions
DiCaprio and everything,
or are these writing or talking things into existence?
I don't know if that's the case, then surely I would have got my letter for Hogwarts. If you're writing things into existence. Do you know why we didn't get... Well, I didn't. You're older than me.
Maybe you did get it and someone hid it from you.
No, I did, but I was born at the time. I would have got my letter at the time that Voldemort destroyed all the records of Muggle-born wizards from the Ministry of Magic, so...
Whereas I clearly am a Muggle and I'm the same age as
Harry Potter. You're a squib. What house are you?
Ravenclaw.
You're Ravenclaw. I'm Hufflepuff. What house are you?
Why has this become a Harry Potter discussion?
I don't know, but it's important that we talk about Harry Potter sometimes.
So we can't talk it into existence, is what you're saying? Because
no, I don't think you can.
Would be real.
I know, I don't think you can.
That's definitely scientific fact, actually. That's scientifically
Hogwarts
disproves the theory that you could talk something into existence, because Hogwarts doesn't exist.
You don't know Hogwarts doesn't exist because you're not
magical
man. What you call them things?
Wizards.
A wizard.
Oh, so we was looking at a list.
I need to stop playing with this.
We need to also stop rambling. But I was looking at a list of bad movies today, because we're just not getting the kind of bad movies we're looking for.
These are not the bad movies we're looking for.
Daniel the Wizard. There's a movie called Daniel the Wizard, and it's ranked in the 10 worst films on IMDb rankings.
Oh, that's exciting. Yeah. Actually, do you know what? That might be useful if you have some really bad films. Now there has to be like that B movie kind of bad.
And they have to be in the 50p section in CEX, so...
Oh, yeah. Actually, scratch that, never mind.
And I have to say, the top 10 sound like bad movies, but after you get on the top 10 and after you get past the top 10, the rest are actually just like bad sequels, like of mainstream movies. Like Son of Mask is like 12. Number 12, and that's really not like the kind of bad movie that I'm looking for.
No, you're not looking for like a Hollywood bad movie. No. It's a genuine...
I'm looking for B movies, really, which we've seen some of but they just haven't been as good as episode 50. Anyway, we have really diverted.
As we always do. But thank you for watching. I'm hoping the camera has held out and the battery has held out and whatever, because I did charge it
I just hope you're
earlier.
not close enough to the mic.
But just to give you an update, so our next batch of Patreon money, so our Patreon money comes in on like the 1st, I think. Yeah, it is the 1st. I'm planning on investing in a good... The camera that I'm using right now isn't actually mine. It's not ours. I borrowed it from somebody and I desperately need to give it back. Thank you, Christian.
Does that mean we're not doing the investigation then?
Huh?
Does that mean we're not doing the investigation or the stay over in the Haunted Hotel?
We are.
Oh.
That's why I'm getting a new camera.
Oh.
That's the point of getting a camera.
Oh.
So I'm going to use the Patreon money to invest in a good camera that I can use to record episodes and also to go to haunted hotels or wherever, haunted locations, and record there with Dan and Will. I don't even know if Will knows that he's coming, but
No,
he's
he doesn't
coming.
know. We told him.
Okay.
We need a cameraman, don't we?
So thank you as always for being an amazing Patreon subscriber. There are 90 of you now, so feel free to watch this video. Feel free to not watch this video. Whatever you want to do. Don't really mind. Don't know why I'm doing this little hand movement.
They can see it.
But I will put up the audio for this episode as well on its own, so that if the video doesn't work, at least there will be audio. And on that note, we shall see you for some more Tiny Tales next week. Goodbye. We love you. Mwah.
Bye.